ends up being more. You can't just give the devil an inch and expect him not to take a mile. 1 Samuel chapter 13, verse 1. Saul reigned 1 year, and when he had reigned 2 years over Israel, Saul chose him 3,000 men of Israel, whereof 2,000 were with Saul in Mishmash and Mount Bethel, and 1,000 were with Jonathan in Gibeah of Benjamin. And the rest of the people he sent every man to his tent. And Jonathan smote the garrison of the Philistines, which was in Gibeah, and the Philistines heard of it. And Saul blew the trumpet throughout all the land, saying, "Let the Hebrews hear." And all Israel heard say that Saul had smitten the garrison of the Philistines, and that Israel also had an abomination with the Philistines. And the people were called together after Saul to Gilgal. And the Philistines gathered themselves together to fight with Israel, 30,000 chariots and 6,000 horsemen, and the people as the sand which is on the seashore in multitude. And they came up and pitched in Mishmash eastward from Bethaven. When the men of Israel saw that they were straight, and the people distressed, and the people did hide themselves in caves and in thickets and in rocks and in high places and in pits. And some of the Hebrews went over Jordan to the land of Gad and Gilead. As for Saul, he was yet in Gilgal, and all the people followed him trembling. And he tarried 7 days according to the set time that Samuel had appointed. But Samuel came not to Gilgal, and the people were scattered from him. And Saul said, "Bring hither a burnt offering to me, and peace offerings." And he offered the burnt offering, and it came to pass that as soon as he had made an end to offering the burnt offering, behold, Samuel came, and Saul went out to meet him, that he might salute him. And Samuel said, "What hast thou done?" And Saul said, "Because I saw the people were scattered from me, and that thou camest not within the days appointed, that the Philistines gathered themselves together at Mishmash. Therefore said I, the Philistines will come down upon me to Gilgal, and I have not made supplication unto the Lord. I forced myself, therefore, and offered a burnt offering." So if you flip over to chapter 10 of 1 Samuel real quick, you'll see why this is such a big deal. In verse 8, this is Samuel talking to Saul. He said, "And thou shalt go down before me to Gilgal, and behold, I will come down unto thee to offer burnt offerings and sacrifices of peace offerings. 7 days shalt thou tarry till I come down to you and show thee what thou shalt do." So Samuel had came to him before this and told him what was going to happen, and said, "I'm going to offer that sacrifice." But what happened here was Saul saw that thought he wasn't coming, and he became impatient, and he went to do it himself, which he didn't have evil intentions when he did it, but the fact that he was told no is the problem. In verse 13 it says, "And Samuel said to Saul, Thou hast done foolishly. Thou hast not kept the commandment of the Lord thy God, which he commanded thee. For now would the Lord have established thy kingdom upon Israel forever. But now thy kingdom shall not continue. And the Lord hath sought him a man after his own heart, and the Lord hath commanded him to be captain over his people, because thou hast not kept that which the Lord commanded thee." So that one, what he thought would just be a little thing, ended up causing him to lose the kingdom. And if you fast forward to chapter 15, verse 1, "Samuel also said unto Saul, The Lord sent me to anoint thee to be king over his people, over Israel. Now therefore hearken now to the voice of the words of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel, how he laid wait for him in the way when he came up from Egypt. Now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and donkey." So that's a pretty clear command. There's no room for discussion there. And there's no way he could have misunderstood what he was saying. It's pretty straightforward. "And Saul gathered the people together and numbered them in Telem, 200,000 footmen and 10,000 men of Judah. And Saul came to a city of Amalek and laid wait in the valley. And Saul said unto the Canaanites, Go depart get you down from among the Amalekites, lest I destroy you with them. For ye showed kindness to all the children of Israel when they came up out of Egypt. So the Canaanites departed from among the Amalekites. And Saul smote the he smote them from Havilah unto thou comest to Shur, that is over against Egypt. And he took Agag, the king of Amalekites, alive, and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword. But Saul and the people spared Agag and the best sheep of the oxen, and of the fatlings, and of the lambs, and of all that was good, and would not utterly destroy them, but everything that was vile, and refused, and they destroyed them. And the word of the Lord came unto Samuel, saying, It repenteth me that I have set up Saul to be king, for he has turned back from following me, and hath not performed my commandments. And it grieved Samuel, and he cried to the Lord all night. So you see, he started with just what he thought was just that one little sin of offering that sacrifice, and then you go to even a bigger sin. And those consequences went on. It ended up causing him to lose the throne. It ended up getting him killed in battle, and his son.
Amen.
I just want to go through a couple examples of those things. You go to 2 Samuel chapter 11. We went through this Sunday morning a while ago. David started with what was one little sin, and it led down the line to multiple sins, would end up causing problems for generations to come. And it came to pass after the year was expired, at the time of the kings to go forth to battle, David sent Joab and his servants with him, and all Israel, and they destroyed the children of Ammon, and besieged Rabbah, but David tarried still at Jerusalem. And it came to pass in an evening tide that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself, and the woman was very beautiful to look on. So there's his first mistake. He kept looking.
Yeah.
It doesn't say what he should have done was he first saw it, he should have ran the other way. But no, he saw something he thought he liked, and he just went with it. Verse 3, and David sent and inquired after the woman, and one said, Is this not Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? And so he knew right there. They told him she's married. Like you went through that one time. He knew who she was.
Yep.
And David sent messengers and took her and came into her, and he lay with her, for she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned unto her house. And the woman conceived and sent and told David and said, I am with child. So first he kept looking, and then what led to that next was adultery, which was even bigger sin. And David sent to Joab, saying, Send me Uriah the Hittite. And Joab sent Uriah to David. And when Uriah was come unto him, David demanded of him how Joab did, and how the people did, and how the war prospered. And David said unto Uriah, Go down to thy house and wash thy feet. And Uriah departed out of the king's house, and there followed him a mess of meat from the king. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of his lord, and went not down to his house. So what he was trying to do was set up a little plot here to try to cover it up, to try to get him and his wife together. So there's just a third problem he's tried doing. He tried getting out of the first two. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of his lord, and went not down to his house. And when they had told David, saying, Uriah went not down to his house, David said unto Uriah, Camest thou not from thine journey, didst thou not go down unto thy house? And Uriah said unto David, The ark and Israel and Judah abide in tents, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are encamped in the open fields. Shall I then go into my house and eat and drink and lie with my wife? As thou livest and as thy soul liveth, I will not do this thing. And David said unto Uriah, Tarry here today also, and tomorrow I will let thee depart. So Uriah abode in Jerusalem that day and the morrow. And David had called him, he did eat and drink before him, and he made him drunk. And at evening he went out to lie on his own bed with the servants of his lord, but went not down to his house. And it came to pass in the morning that David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it by the hand of Uriah. And he wrote in the letter saying, Set ye Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle, and retire ye from him, that he may be smitten and die. And it came to pass that when Joab observed the city, that he assigned Uriah unto a place where he knew that valiant men were. And the men of the city went out and fought Joab, and there fell some of the people, and the servants of David, and Uriah the Hittite died also. So what started off as little eventually led to him being a murderer too. Do one more example, which is in Numbers chapter 20. Verse 7. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Take the rod, and gather thou the assembly together, thou and Aaron my brother, and speak ye unto the rock before their eyes, and it shall give forth his water, and thou shalt bring forth to them water out of the rock, and thou shalt give the congregation and their beasts to drink. So he told them to speak to the rock, and water will come out. The first time what had happened was God told him to hit the rock with the rod. And in verse 9, Moses took the rod from before the Lord as he commanded, and Moses and Aaron gathered the congregation together before the rock, and he said unto them, Hear now, ye rebels, must we fetch you water out of this rock? And Moses lifted up his hand, and with his rod he smote the rock twice, and the water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank, and their beasts also. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, saying, Because ye believed me not to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel, therefore ye shall not bring this congregation into the land which I have given them. So that one little thing caused both of them not to even get to go into the promised land. And you know that was a hard punishment for Moses, being the fact that everything he's been through with these people, going before Pharaoh, all the stuff they put him through out in the desert, not even be able to go into the promised land. But that's how Satan works. It's one thing after the next. Little sins that we like to call little sins build up and always cause lots of consequences. And Satan likes to belittle sins all the time. Like with Adam and Eve, he was able to persuade Eve just by doubting God, what God had said, which God had told them what would happen, and Satan likes to throw those questions back, like, did he really say that? Is that really going to happen? And one of Satan's favorite terms to say, he likes to say, it's just this, or it's just that. One of his favorite things is like, oh, it's just a church service. You can miss one church service. It's not going to matter. It's just Sunday school. It's just a prayer meeting. It's not as important. But every time we come here, it's just as important as all the other times. And there should be just as much people here tonight as there's on Sunday morning. There should be just as many people here Sunday evening as there is on Sunday morning. But Satan always likes to belittle he makes things seem less than it is. Like back in 1973, he decided to say it's just a fetus, and people went with it. And you see that started off little. Oh, it's just a fetus. Now there are states that are butchering full-grown babies right before birth, which back then people accepted it because they thought it was something little. But like I said, you give Satan this much, he's going to take a mile with it. He likes to say, it's just one drink. People have tried that a million times. You can't just have one drink. The Bible doesn't say you can't have one. It says don't get drunk. No, that's not what the Bible says. Because one drink always leads to more. There's no people that just drink one every once in a while. It's just a song. People like saying that. Oh, it's just music. It doesn't matter what you listen to. So what if there's 1,000 cuss words in that song? It don't matter. It's just a movie. there's no such thing. It's just a movie.
Right.
What you watch in your house has the stuff you can watch has a direct invitation to Satan in your house if you watch the wrong stuff.
Right.
That's right.
If you sit in the house and watch horror movies every night, you can't help it. You can't. When you start hearing those noises after you watch the movies, a lot of people think, "Oh, that's your imagination." Not always.
Right.
Demons are attracted to that kind of stuff, and when you sit there and you watch that stuff in your house, that's an open invitation.
That's right.
On June 26, 2015, they said it's just love. Love is love. You can marry whoever you want. Which they seem like that may have started off with. They say it's small. Oh yeah, 2 men can get married. But now look what it's turned into. First, it's just 2 men get married. Then 2 men can get married in the churches. Now you have a whole month set aside to celebrate 2 men getting married. Now they have to teach your children that that's okay. You give them an inch, he'll take a mile. People say it's just a cuss word. I hear that a lot. So many professing Christians cussing nonstop. And I saw someone with a shirt a while back that says, "I love Jesus, but I cuss a little." Which you can love Jesus and still cuss, but if you love Jesus, you're going to stop cussing. Because remember when Peter was denying Jesus? She said, "You're a follower of Jesus. You're a Christian." He said, "No, I'm not." She's like, "I'm pretty sure you are. You're a follower of Jesus. You're a Christian." "No, I'm not." She said it a third time. He said, "No, I'm not." Then he started cussing to show her, "Hey, I'm not a Christian." You notice she believed him after that. She didn't say nothing else. So when you walk around cussing, I can't help it, but if I'm just meeting someone for the first time and I hear them cussing nonstop, I'm automatically going to assume they're not a Christian. It's just natural instinct. And so many people do it too. You hear it in the churches. You'll hear pastors. Like I heard someone the other day, Stockman's listening to this song, which is horrible, like X-rated stuff, cussing, profanity. And she says she goes to church and everything. I'm like, what would your pastor say if he saw you listen to this right now? Would you listen to this music in front of him? And she's like, yeah, because he listens to it too. I'm like, then you need to be careful who you call pastor if that's the case. Like I said, you give Satan an inch, he'll always take a mile. And what you've seen lately, the stuff started in the lost world, but it's to the point now where it's been creeping into the churches. And because if you look at things now, the way it used to be, the world did the worldly things, and the church stayed out of it. But now they go together. Like, say the world has always been right here. The worldly stuff, that's unrighteousness. Righteousness is over here. The church has stayed over here. The world has stayed over here. But the last 10, 20, 25 years, the world has slid over here. And when the world did that, the church slid from here to here. So now the things that we thought were bad 50 years ago, the church is doing, but it doesn't look as bad because the world has gotten worse. And it started with just the small things creeping in. Like I said, the pastor, we're going to let 2 men get married. We're gonna start putting smoke machines in the church, which I'm not saying that's a sinful thing, but the churches make it more of a show than they make it about serving the Lord. If you go to Psalm chapter 1. Verse 1, you'll see a process here. It says, "Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor sitteth in the way of sinners, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful." So what you see there is a slow process. First, it's just one drink, it's no big deal, and you just kind of beat around the bush or whatever. The next thing you know, you're just standing there with that sin. And you start getting more comfortable being around it. And then sooner or later, you're to the point where you're comfortable. Verse 2, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. Here's the thing, Satan can't make you do nothing. You can make people blame the stuff on Satan all the time. Oh, Satan made me do that, Satan. No. Satan throws a temptation out there. You choose whether or not you're going to do it. He's like a fisherman with the bait sitting there, dangling in front of you, waiting. You have the choice if you're going to bite that or not. The fish don't have to bite the worm. The fish chooses to. And it says, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. One of the best ways to fight temptation is staying in the Bible. Because remember when Jesus was being tempted, every time Satan threw something at him, he threw scripture at him. And Satan couldn't say nothing else. He didn't have any to flee. And that's the problem. Most people don't even really read. Professing Christians don't even read the Bible like they should anymore. And you wonder why everything's going the way it is. Because they don't know how. If people read this, when this stuff that Satan threw out there, the stuff that the church has been doing, the world has been introducing to the church, they would say, open this up and say, no, that's not in there. We're not doing that. Sure. Go to Matthew chapter 26. Verse 41. Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. The second greatest, they're both equally important, but the top two ways to fight temptation are prayer and reading the Bible. And Satan does not want you praying. He has been attacking prayer for the longest time. Why do you think? There was more than getting Daniel thrown in prison into the lion's den. There was more about that mandate than people see. They did not want him praying. Satan did not want the people praying. Because look, there were more believers in that time, but we only hear about one that stood up. How many people do you think he shut up? The king shut up from praying when that mandate went out. And it's safe to say if our government stood up right now and said you can't pray, no, even Christians would not stop doing it. Then there's some like Daniel that Daniel could have just went and prayed in his closet or went by his bed, but no, he went and stood out there on the window so everyone could see him. Watch and pray that you enter not temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. You ever get to the point where you are like, I'm going to do this. The Lord wants me to do this. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. Your spirit wants to follow the Lord a lot of times, but your flesh is going to fight against it with everything you've got. And you hear people say, they get all super excited about how they're going to be at church. They're on fire for the Lord. They're going to be at church every Sunday. Devil's not going to hold them down. But then Sunday morning comes along and the bed sheets hold them down because they're tired and they don't want to get up. And they, like I said, it's just prayer meeting. I can sleep an extra hour. I mean, Lord will understand. I'll be there for Sunday school and church. But the Bible also talks about gathering and praying together. Yeah, you can pray at your house, but when you come together with the rest of the men of the church and now the women are doing it, it's God's more open to hearing that kind of stuff. It even says when 2 or 3 are gathered in my name. And if you look in the book of Acts, there's times the apostles and the disciples just gathered together and they prayed. There's power in that. And that's why Satan doesn't want no one doing it. And should we have ministry meeting today? And that's part of the reason he doesn't want you to come to church and pray, and he doesn't want you to be with the church. And like I was talking to someone the other day, and he's like, "What'd you do last night?" I was like, "I went to church. It was Wednesday night." Well, churches have services on Wednesday night. Where have you been? I mean, it's sad to the fact that there's so many churches that don't now. Because when enough people stand up and say, "Oh, it's just a Wednesday night service, I'm not going to come," and enough people do that, Wednesday night services get canceled because no one's going to show up. And I saw a saying a while back that someone said, "You never know which church service is going to impact your life the most, but you know it won't be the one. Won't be the one you missed." And God may be wanting to save someone's child. If you stay home from church, that sermon that pastor preached may have been the one that convicted them. And you've got to think more deep into that kind of stuff. And then you're going to have to answer that.
Amen.
Which, I guess I'll close it with that. Just make sure you're praying, reading the Bible, and if you read it, we've read Ephesians 6 before. You have to put on the armor of God. The Bible didn't say he has to put it on for you. He gave it to you for you to put on.
Amen. Very good. Amen.
You mind if I add something to that? Something hit me. I don't know if you all caught this. Maybe I should have been that. He's talking about David and Uriah. It says here, he made him drunk.
Yeah.
That's manipulation. Saying, well, I'm going to get him drunk. And what's a man under the influence going to want to do? Right? Nicest way I can say.
Right.
Well, another thing it shows you is that David and Uriah had some sin in their life. I wish Uriah would have said, "No, I don't drink."
Right.
But that just goes to show you. You know, I've heard all the verses people say, "Well, you can't deny this verse. You know, what do you do with this?" Well, they also try to say, "Well, David and Uriah drank." You see what it did? The Bible says, "Don't even look at it when it's stirred in the cup." You know, there's a reason for that.
But if you look even further past that, that was what he did. He didn't do that at first. At first, he just tried, hitting at the, trying to just, butter him up, like, hey, trying to get him to go home. But that's what he resorted to last year. But when you look past that, though, there's a turning point in there where it went from that to where he, David actually hardened his heart. And you see,
He was adamant about it,
right. Well, after he hardened his heart, though, God left him there for a minute. Like he did Pharaoh. He eventually came. He came back for David. He left him in there and let him. After he did that, he said, "Okay." Well, because there was a whole example in that of itself. Because not only even after he got Uriah drunk, Uriah still